Hello there, I'm Vas and welcome to another Vas Gaming video. Here we are with Themis Gizis, who went top 4 in Greek Nationals. With what deck, Themis?
This guy.
This guy.
Actually, it's more like this guy, but...
Ah, okay. We have a full philosophy of the deck, I guess. Okay. So, how did that went? You went to top 4, etc.?
Well, actually, I was testing a lot for that event, but I was in a hiatus. I wasn't playing the game during the whole quarantine. I just started the cards. I played some locals back in October when the teams were released until for a month and a half about that. But afterwards I had a hiatus again, so I came back a month ago because the Greek Nationals were officially announced, and
finally,
pretty much I wasn't playing because I was playing competitively, and I loved traveling. Like, traveling was the most important part of the game for me. So when the event started, it was about time to stop. I was waiting for it for so long. I'm pretty sure almost everyone has been waiting for them.
Including me as well.
Yeah. So pretty much the whole thing was that I was on Despia immediately after I came back, because my friends, actually my friend Stavros, told me about the deck and how it works on the floaters, and immediately I was hooked because of all the options on the floaters. But going to the event, things were not that easy, because obviously, as everyone has noticed, the format had changed to the part that when game one, most of the decks actually, it's pretty interactive, but when you go to side, most likely the guy who goes first will win because of all the floodgates, fragrance rivalry goes in, there can only be one, and dimensional barrier, mostly fragrance and barrier of course, are cards that just straight up say you don't play.
Yeah.
So I was looking for the deck that would not be affected that much from these cards, and it would be fun for me to play. And we reached the point that on Tuesday, 2 days after the American YCS, I still had no idea what to play. I was trying a lot the Brave Punk Despias, Brave Punk and that stuff, and all the, random engines. But I wasn't feeling that comfortable with it, and that's the point that I decided, okay, I would just go with what I feel most comfortable with, what I know that I can pilot the best, which was Despia. And at that point, I was thinking a lot about this card. And this card is actually the reason why you can play Despia right now, and one of the reasons actually that it makes more sense to go for Despia than some other options. I will explain later, mostly. So at this point, before we start, I want to say the biggest shout out to everyone that I can. It's the same person that I have been shouting out in most of my videos, of course, Lorenzo Santoni. You know what you're doing for me. He has been one of the most important persons for me going through my Yu-Gi-Oh career. Because we have been very close friends, we have been discussing, almost in every event that we were together, we have been discussing our decks, our options, and I can say that I have reached some tops because of him. And this one was one of them, of course, because actually we were discussing a lot, and I tend to get emotional during the periods before the events, and he makes sure to keep me on straight mind, actually. Even though that he wasn't playing Despia, he just helped me on focusing on what I have to do. And also the second shout out I want to say is Boden. He helped me discussing the Brave stuff, the Brave Punk stuff. He was just there to provide me with input from his own, because I hadn't tested that deck a lot. And also Luke Parks. Right after the YCS, he was very happy to help me with some input from his side after the event on how the cards worked. And of course, Iman Games.
Yeah, of course.
I had the guys I could discuss whenever I could. So that's it. The whole prologue. I think we can start with the deck.
Okay, let's go.
The deck is 45 cards.
45, okay.
So we'll start with first the options, and I will tell more on the logic. 3 Aluber, 3 Tragedy, 1 Dramaturge, and then 1 Libidum. Pretty much, the standard is 3, 2, and 1. It's arguably fine to go into 2 Tragedy. It depends on the player preference. I want to go on 3 Tragedy because I would have more options to grab from Fusion first with Tragedy and then go into Aluber and then grab my Fusion. And Dramaturge was 100% my own preference because I noticed that during my plays I would try to search it a lot, and especially when going second to apply more pressure and go for damage or looping it. And
from the beat stick, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And also, when I was playing without Dramaturge, I was missing it, so I decided I would, because it matched my play style, I would add it in, and actually, I was pretty happy with the option, the addition. So? 3 Albaz, I just want to say that I noticed in some of my games that I was trying to side him out going into 2, that I think right now how the format is, there is an argument on going into 2 because the game ends pretty fast on 2 turns, so you might not need the third. So if someone's thinking about cutting the third, it could be fine. I prefer to go on 3. 2 Albions. These were the last minute addition actually. I am not playing the Lost Package. I think the Lost Package actually pretty much does nothing right now at how the format has evolved, because it does not help you with proceeding with if you get Aston Fusion. It does not help you on that. Everyone knows how to play around it when you go second and you open it. And just grabbing Mercurier is not that important. Also, Kits is not worth it because of putting the card behind the deck. But Albion, on the other hand, on his own, as a one-off, is not worth it actually, because it will never matter. It will just be you bury a card and you draw a card. But playing on 2, you can count on having the access to the Fallen in the graveyard for red, or sending opening for the mirror matches. Yes. So you can count more on what this card will provide you in the deck. And I added him because of these options, because red becomes a starter then, and also they draw 1 card, even though I'm on 45 cards, because I just wanted to make sure to focus on consistency. And consistency is not only drawing 5 cards and you can have a play, is also having a play under your opponent's disruptions, such as hand drops, and having access to red going first. It matters a lot actually.
Yeah.
I went with 3 imps. I just saw the engine now. 3, 2, 2. I really wanted to go on 3 on this, but I could not find a space. But also, I'm playing. Where is it? The Theater.
Okay.
Which is a card that I'm pretty sure was discarded by a lot of players. It was actually discarded by me as well. I added it the last week. Nico from Iman suggested to give it a try, and actually I liked it a lot. The reason why I went to Patchwork 2 is because when you do not open with Patchwork Engine and you open with Aluber plus Fusion, you can grab this, and it's like a pseudo Patchwork on how I wanted to end my board. Usually my board was Mirror Jade plus Masquerade, and by setting a red, because I would use my Mirror Jade to banish himself by sending the Albion, and then I would use the Ad Libitum in my hand after using by the Fusion, and then I would go from Masquerade and then bring back the Mirror Jade. So these cards were the cards that would allow me to go to that game plan, and I will explain in more detail later actually why I went with that plan, because I think it matters at this point. And I also played 5 hand traps.
Hand traps in Despia, by the way.
Yeah, actually I wanted to play more, way more. Ideally I want to go with 9 hand traps, 3, 3, 3. Actually maybe less of these. I'm actually not that big fan of impermanence as a card in general. But I was not able to find a spot in the deck. Of course, these are for cross-outs, as I said to earlier play.
Yeah.
But I think that no matter what Despia should be playing as Blossom right now, because it's incredibly important in the whole format and in the mirror match. And also because everyone is maining hand traps right now. If they hand trap you, and you also have a hand trap to stop them, then you can proceed on playing on your own turn afterwards, especially that you have an extra starter at that point, because Albaz can also fuse with their monsters after you stop them with a hand trap. So I really think that they support the game plan of the deck a lot. Of course, going from 40 to 45 matters, but I don't think it matters that much at this point, because the format is so open and you need to have these options, in my opinion. And the snow, it's there's an argument of swapping snow for Ecclesia, which I can agree at some point, because Ecclesia giving you the one card, looping her back in your hand matters a lot, because getting the one card. Okay. Because I'm not playing Super Poly right now, I did not actually need that plus
not
one
even
card.
the side?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I didn't like Super Poly at all. So Snow was here because she's pretty much, if you get her in the graveyard, she's awesome, and she proved to be pretty good in the tournament, of course. So for spells, 3, 3, 2, and again here, this was here. So there's nothing to say about this.
Yeah.
About these now, why I went with 2 reds. I was testing a lot with 3 reds, especially with 2 Albions. It would make total sense to go on 3 reds, but they became kind of cloggy. What I wanted to do was make sure that the deck was not that cloggy. Just to make sure that consistency also means that you do not want to have cloggy options. So pretty much I was fine with 2. I never needed the second one, and yeah, actually this I can understand people want to play 3. It totally makes sense. My preference was to go on 2. I still played Allure. I was trying without playing Allure, so I actually never missed them when I was not playing, but I wanted to keep them for consistency in the end, and also they were an easy side-out spot when going second, because I actually was handing them out when going second only against Fragrance decks, because I didn't want to have the dead card in my hand. Yeah. And also I did not want to side out Edgimp or Patchwork or any of that stuff. As Luke suggested, when you go second and you have access to the Patchwork stuff, your hand becomes way too good afterwards, because you have access to Chimera. So I would prefer to cut Allures when going second, but I was keeping them when playing in the mirror while second. I can see a point that people would be cutting Allures if they can solve the consistency part, and I would be glad not playing Allures in the future if that can be fixed. 3 droplets. I was not playing Super Poly, as I mentioned. Okay. I thought that Droplet was way more flexible, and not only flexible as to what you can hit, also as flexible on the options, because Super Poly locked you on using your normal summon and then use it at that point. And also discarding the card, which I hated. And the Droplet, on the other hand, most of the times could be used on some sort of combo, like when you would use your, when you would use your Brother Fusion, when you would use your opening, again when you were using your Aluber, the same as with
just
the
chain
Super
it and
Poly.
send it as cost.
Yeah, and also it covered more things that were irritating, because Super Poly is not that great against some boards, but Forbidden Droplet was just great against all boards. The Cult by the Grief, nothing to say about this card, and I wanted to talk about these the last.
Okay.
Crossouts. So why crossout is that important, in my opinion, right now? Every deck plays hand traps. After the YCS, what we saw was every single deck was maining hand traps, and multiple of them actually. So you have access into hitting their hand traps, but not only their hand traps. These are the cards that you will be able to consistently hit.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's say that you go first and they don't have Ash, and you don't cross out the Ash, and they don't have some hand to stop you. You would pretty much be able to overextend your going first play, because you would hit one of these two. If they had it. If they didn't have any hand trap or these two, they can't do anything against you, so you don't care. Most importantly, actually, is what they offer post side deck.
Okay.
Pretty much the deck cares for Ash, most of the cards, but post side, it also cares for Barrier and for Fragrance. So this one, just one card, allows you to hit 9 cards, like 3, 3, 3, against all of the decks actually. So it totally made sense to main it since it hit so many things, and it made sense to keep it post side against all of the decks.
Did you side in both Barrier and Anti-Spell going second?
Yeah, against Soul Souls.
Yeah.
So it was a sneak peek of my side deck, but I will explain in a bit.
Okay.
So extra deck is pretty easy actually. 2, I played 1. I noticed that I was never using the second one. I started testing with 1, never needed the second one again. 3, 1, and Lenatus. I know that people say that Lenatus is actually for the dragons, which actually is not true. Lenatus is here. Yes, there were some dragon players that wanted to have an easy out against them, namely Dimitris Rafaelidis, because I respect him. Unfortunately, he did not do well, but I respect him as player. But also, it matters a lot when you go on your first turn. You usually send the Albion, and then on the opponent's turn, you either send Titanic Lad or this one, because if you use Branded in red, most of the times you have to grab Tragedy from your graveyard, and if you grab Tragedy, you do not have access to banishing Tragedy in order to get the Branded Fusion back from graveyard. So by this one, you immediately get your fusion, and you're not wasting your Albions. It's most like a pseudo 4th Albion. 2 Chimeras, of course. 2, 1 Coritis. I am not playing the other Despia Fusion because I'm not playing Proskinion because I'm not playing Super Poly. If I was playing Super Poly, I would definitely play Proskinion. I liked it a lot in testing. 1 Dracosta Poly, which I think I summoned it only once, and this guy, Borderlord Furious Dragon.
What?
So this guy pretty much says needs 2 Dark Dragon Monsters. What does it do is if he's on the field, it's a quick effect. You can target the monster you control, or your opponent controls, and you destroy them both.
No response like the other board.
You can respond. You can respond.
You can respond.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much you summon this guy with fusion, sending these 2.
Okay.
Because they're dragons. And they are dark, of course. And the whole thing is that when you're against Eldritch, because Eldritch is the Nationals deck, every Nationals has a bunch of Eldritch all around. It was an out under Rivalry, but not only Rivalry. Usually, because they can't heal you pretty fast, you have multiple times set Branded Fusion under the Fragrance and Rivalry. So you just flip this, you bring this guy, and usually, actually, what you could do is that you summon. If you have another monster, you can bring. You can try to bring Albion and Borderlord Furious, especially if you have already a second dragon in your graveyard. And if you have these guys, you can kill Albion and kill one of their back rows. More probably would be Rivalry first, and leave them with a Fragrance open. You grab with your Albion, you set whatever you want to set, and then you kill a Furious Dragon as well and kill their Fragrance. So it was actually the last spot. What I would also consider, if I had room in my main deck, would be the 1000 dice restrict. I think the fusion that stops the hand drops.
The level 1.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And here I want to talk about my end board actually. So all of the times I was focusing on ending on this board.
Okay.
Or in this position, depending on the matchup. So this board would always give me access into a set red. Where is it? Yeah, into a set red, and in my graveyard would always be this. So how do we get at this position? Usually, if you go for Branded Fusion, you usually go for Lubellion. From Lubellion, you go into Mirror Jade, and usually this is your board at this point. In order to go to the finishing board that I told you, you either need to have access to Patchwork. Either have access to the Patchwork stuff, or you need to have access to the theater. So if you open these, you're fine. If you open Fusion without having to normal summon Aluber to get the Fusion, you're totally fine. So I understand that there's a super high percentage of reaching that point. So what would happen would be with Tragedy, I would search ad libitum, as it totally makes sense, and then use Mirror Jade, send the Albion, and banish himself actually, and not Aluber. So the whole point actually, or not banishing Aluber, is that if you have Aluber on your graveyard and you have the board of the two end monsters, it's incredibly difficult for your opponent to kill you, because you have the disruptions that you will get, the red, the Mirror Jade. You also have this burning them, which makes them that they want to get rid of your board as soon as possible. And obviously, a player cannot predict how many plays it will take to go over the whole board through interruptions. And also, if they go, let's say that they go over this board, all right, you still have the Masquerade can bring back itself, and then bring back Aluber if they kill Masquerade. And almost no one was playing around this option on DB or at Nationals. So you get the point that you hit them, they cannot kill you. You have already used your Mirror Jade to send. Most of the times it will be the Titanic Lad, and then you would fuse him on their turn with the Albaz. Or if you haven't, you still have the Tragedy in the graveyard with the fusion that you used, and you get so much backup actually. So the logic was pretty much to go into a soft lock that it would allow me to gain a turn, and my opponent spending resources, and because they were getting burned by Masquerade a lot, probably
you will have an easier RTA than free.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, Hemis, that's a pretty nice list, I must say.
Thanks, and the last part?
Yeah.
3 Nibiru and 3 collectors.
Oh, we haven't covered the whole set yet. Okay.
There hasn't been a single event where I didn't play Nibiru, but this was been my first where I wasn't playing Nibiru. These are here for Sword Soul and the Brave stuff. Nothing to say about these cards, honestly. The backup removals were 2 twins and 1 cosmic. Generally, as a player and in Despia, I preferred cosmic, but in my siding plan, I was not siding these against Sword Soul. So I wanted to see what I would side them against. Usually, I would side this as a one-off in the mirror match because I was afraid of Mystic Minds. And these were more impactful against Eldritch and the Strikers, so it made more sense to go for Twisters rather than Cosmics. And there's these actually traps. Oops, sorry. It's three barriers for the mirror going first, actually for everything going first, and I would side one and to hit them with crossouts. Then 1 banishment. Actually, it was either theater or banishment in my main deck, and I opted with theater because it provided me an out. If they had banishment, I would use my theater, and then I would be able to play over their own banishment if they would use it, and also helping me more with my end board. And I started this mostly actually in order to have it as a cross-out target for the mirror. Retribute, of course, and the last card was this. This was my the latest addition to the deck on Friday night. I had asked Santo and the rest of the team what they think about adding Fragrance for cross-outs. I was not getting any answers until Friday, where Santo mentioned it again. And I was like, okay, I don't have enough time, so I will try it as much as I can on Saturday. It totally made sense, but the most important thing was that it helped the Sadek plan, because if you think of it, going against Sword Soul, I will have to side all these cards, and please go ahead, find me cards that I can side out without destroying my whole deck. Yeah. So by siding this only, I would cut the cards that was siding for Sword Soul, and I could side out more cards, and also cross out would be a card for their 9 targets. And this is actually.
Alright, let me say anything last to say for.
Yeah, thanks to Vas Gaming for taking out this video. It was incredibly.
Thank you as well.
You're welcome. It was incredibly awesome to play at Nationals again. The journey to that event was kind of frustrating because I was the previous champion, so I wanted to defend my title. I wanted to do back-to-back. I came so close to that, but still, the whole experience was awesome because the TO made sure to organize things before the event quite well, provided clear information for everyone. Also, the judge staff were awesome. It was the first Nationals that Thanasis Tsouraki head judged, and he made sure that the whole team was fully prepared for the event. And honestly, it was the Nationals that did not hear anything about any wrong rulings or something like that. And yeah, also, as you pretty much know, Marcelo, Federico Micozzi, and Pastore came to our Nationals, which I actually, about 2 months ago, I visited Rome and I saw the guys after 2 years, and also saw Santoni afterwards. So it was more than awesome seeing the guys after 2 years and then seeing them again in Nationals, and then I would see them hopefully at Euros when they finally announce it. The whole experience was awesome. The playing again competitive level and focusing on the games was addictive. I love this so much and I missed it so much. Yeah. And I'm just so excited for Euros and for the rest of the YCSs.
Very nice, Themis. Alright guys, that's the video. If you liked, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Until the next time, Vas Gaming and Themis Gizis with his next stop, signing out. Peace, have a nice day.